Okay, we should be live. It'll take a couple of seconds to kick over onto YouTube. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry we're late. Tech difficulties. Super fun. My computer didn't want to let me click on anything to even open the link. Her computer didn't want to let you see her. They figured a black screen was all you needed.
Yeah, I gave it the camera permissions, and it was like, nah, JK, let's connect to your phone. And I was like, what? Why? And then I was like, okay, fine, connect to the phone. Maybe that'll make it do whatever it needs to do. And then it never sent the code to the phone. And I was like, you know what? I quit.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
thanks
Catherine.
for bearing with us. Yes. Hello, Catherine.
Yes. Oh, and I think that's Heather, right?
I believe so. Heather, is that you?
I think that's Heather's. Anyways, yes, thank you for your patience. Sorry we're starting a little bit late today. I just told Cassie I would have started earlier if I had known that was necessary, but we've been using this this will be our 7th time using this, and we've not had any issues with it.
Now, to be fair, it was both of our computers that had issues, not
the software.
Not the software.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
anyway,
to be fair.
That was fine.
Okay. Technology, man.
Hold up. I feel like it's been a hot minute since we had some tech issues. That used to be a normal part of this experience.
Yeah, it was it wasn't alive if there wasn't, tech difficulties.
Right. Well, and I'm surprised you didn't ask me, is your camera flipped around backwards?
Well, I knew because it was on your computer. We haven't used phones since Instagram, but
right.
I was also a little frazzled because my computer decided to just have a complete meltdown, and I had to restart it literally minutes before. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My book's organized over here. I need to put yours on top because you usually go first. Anyways, how was, other than your computer having a meltdown, how's your day been?
Been good.
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for joining us. Welcome to July. We're going to chat about our June reads.
And, yes, we
are. Also, so this is kind of, I guess we should go ahead and do a couple of announcements. We have Realm Makers coming up in T-minus 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It's in 2 weeks. So if you're going to be at Realm Makers, we would love to see you and say hi and maybe get a picture with you or something. Yes. And so we'll be at Realm Makers in 2 weeks. And the next month is August. And next month will be our second Zoom meeting of the year. So we will, in our email, Cassie, I need to get together with you before I send that out, but we need to, we're going to send out a link for you to pick a time. If everybody votes on a time, then we see who, we try to pick times that the most people can make, so that obviously not everybody's going to be able to make, by some miracle, maybe that will happen, but usually we have times that we can't make it work for everybody, but we try to get the majority of people who are interested in coming. So just heads up, that is in August. So make sure that you check the dates and times that you're available for that when we send that out. And then we will let you know with the official date and time and give you the Zoom link and all that information in August. Is that all the announcements? I think that's it.
That's it.
And if you're going to, no, that's August, because you already did your speaking event, right?
Yeah,
that's right. Heather says she's working on an editing plan for your novel. That's exciting.
That is really exciting.
Love it.
You got this, girl. Editing is fun. It's a process.
You can do it. It's
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and we'll have to do it again because it's part of writing novels. One of these days, maybe we'll write a perfect first novel, but I seriously doubt it.
This side of heaven.
Yeah.
All right, Cassie. How many
Yes.
books did you read this month?
Oh boy.
We should start with how many books you thought you read, and then the day after, like July 1st, she was like, oh no, I was wrong.
I can't remember what I said that I thought I read.
You said 14 is what you thought you read.
Okay.
Because she was like, oh, I've only read 14 books this month. And I was like, girl, I'm sitting at like 6 or 7. So like, you're literally double what I am right now. And then she was like, oh no, JK, it's actually whatever it was. And I don't remember.
It was 16. I read 16 books.
So she was devastated about 14. And she's like, oh no, I'm just kidding. It's 16.
Well, because I wanted to get to 15. That's why I was upset about it.
Well, you got to 15, friend.
Success.
Anyways, so tell us what you read this month.
Yes, so this month I read...
Oh, pause. Sorry. Heather, I've only read 10 books all year. Girlfriend, there is literally no judgment in this challenge. And Heather's been with us for a couple years, so she knows this. But I want to reiterate this for anybody else that's thinking the same thing, that I've only read 3 books this year or whatever. We don't care how many books you read. We just want you to have fun reading and be intentional. That's all we care about. Is that however many books you want to read and you think is realistic and reasonable to read, and maybe a little bit challenging and ambitious, right? Smart goals. We want to like encourage you that's amazing. If you only read 10 books and you're halfway through the year, that's amazing. You've read 10 books this year.
That's still 10 more than you had read before.
It is 10 more than you've read before. And it is higher than the average. I think the average is like something like 2 books a year or something really horrendous.
Actually, that probably was me for a while. So,
yeah. Yes, there are so many. I've been dealing with that the last couple of days. I've been in like a reading funk, and I'm like, there are so many books I want to read, and there's not enough time to read all of them, and I have to pick and choose. Yeah, so I feel that. Anyways, Cassie, what books did you read?
So I read this book, Iron Rose by Abigail O'Brien.
It's a very pretty cover.
It is super, and look at under.
Ooh, I remember when you bought that.
Yeah. It's very pretty. It doesn't have the sprayed edges like the other Quill and Flame books I have, but it's still really pretty. So, there's that one.
Hopefully.
It was very good.
Okay, good.
Yes, it was very good. And then I read the 3 Extension Squad books by R.M. Scheller, who is a friend of ours.
I think at least one of those was a reread, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh no, I thought you read the first one last year.
I started it last year.
Oh, see, this
which is kind of sad how little it is. I'm like, it took me however long to read
one
them.
book at a time, friend, then you would have finished sooner.
No, because these are physical books. I don't read physical books very fast until now. Because
binged all 3 of
them.
them.
I think I've read like 10 physical books this year.
Yeah, you have really upped your physical reading game.
So
yes, Catherine, the point is reading, not finish. Well, I mean, we do want you to finish, but it's not comparing how much you finish to someone else.
Yes, everyone has their own pace.
Game is not a comparison game.
Yeah. So the next one is Caraval.
That one's on my TBR.
So this one's pretty good. It does have some swearing and some innuendos in it, FYI, but it's still pretty good.
Just because we say that we read a book doesn't mean we recommend it. Doesn't mean that it's going to fit your plate. Do your research.
Yes.
Some of the books have content.
It's not steamy or smutty, which is all I care about. So
we do mark the books with content in the emails with our little asterisks. So
yeah. And then I read Storm Siren.
Such a pretty cover.
Which also has some innuendos in it as well. So just
I remember almost nothing about that trilogy. Like literally almost. I remember very few things. I remember like really needing book 2 and book 3 as soon as I finished the 1 and 2, but like of the story, I just remember bits and pieces.
Yeah. But it was good. Yeah. And then I read this. What?
I love the cover.
Yeah, it's a pretty cover.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I also read the second one in the series, which I don't own, but Coralie does, so she's got it there. I almost finished the third one, but I didn't, so that's...
So close.
Yeah, it could have almost been in June, but it's fine.
The cover for book 3 is probably my favorite of the trilogy.
Yeah, I need to get the next books in the series, but that's a future problem, not a current problem.
Wait. There are 3.
Yeah.
You said you need to get the next books in the series.
I only have this one.
Oh, I thought you meant to read. I was like, you just said you're almost done with book 3. There are no more.
I meant to own.
Did not clarify that. I was like, Fred.
To own.
There are no more. There are no.
I know. I only own this one of the 3. I need to own the other 2.
I'm tracking. Normally we're on the same page, guys. Every now and then we're not.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that. Then I also read a book called Ruby Red that I don't own, but Coralie owns it.
I love this book.
I need to buy it,
Also
and I need to work on read the second book. So
you need to read 2 and 3.
Yeah, well, there's a couple series I need to read 2 and 3 for. So.
There's another edition. This is a different edition, but the original edition was just like red with like a little oval in the middle and the picture. And anyway, I like this one because it's got the pretty dress on it and the clock. And yeah,
I love that.
If you like time traveler stories, that one's really fun.
Yeah. There are 2 books that I won't be sharing, just FYI, because of content and various reasons. So,
yep.
Yeah, there's that. I also read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I could not find my copy, so we've got Coralie's copy.
I told Cassie earlier, because we always, before we do this live, we always ask each other, do you have a book that is on my list that I don't have? So that, like, because we want you guys to see the books if we can share them. And she had me pick these 3 books out, and we were like looking for a couple others, and I only had these 3. And I put the stack together, and I texted her. I was like, Cassie, all 3 of these are red. Did you realize that? Like, all 3 of these
are red.
Really funny to pull them off of, because they live on different bookshelves. Actually, Ruby Red and Silliness live next to each other, but the nonfiction book lives on the nonfiction shelf, and so I pulled them together, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep, it happens.
Yeah. So yeah, I also read Illuminary by Shauna Schroeder.
Is that the Little Princess one?
Mm-hmm.
I want to read that one.
So yeah, that was an Enclave one. And then I also read Her Story, Her Strength by Sarah Parker Rubio.
Ooh.
Which is about the women of the Bible, which was really interesting. I'm hosting her room at Railmakers. Basically, I'm going to handle the Q&A part. I don't know what else. I didn't watch the training, which I need to go do, but I was busy the night they had that. So, yeah, so I was like, I probably should read what she wrote if I'm going to be in her room.
But that sounds a lot like what you've done with the Conservatory and White Ups with like office hours and stuff. So you totally got this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's historical. So I put it on the historical space.
That's so up your alley.
It was great. It was really good. So there's that. I also read Unreasonable Hospitality, which was super fun.
That's one I read at the beginning of the year. I'm really glad you read that one. I do want to chat with you about that because and for those of you paying attention to anything like recommendations, that one does have some language in it, if I recall.
It does. Yeah, it does have some swearing.
But it had some really good stories in it. It was really cool. It's kind of a business leadership, servant-hearted kind of book. So I'm glad
it was really good. I really enjoyed it a lot.
I listened to the audiobook, and the narrator was the author. And it's different when the author is the narrator because they can like put life into the stories that they wrote in a way that like you can hear in his voice, the lessons that he learned and how excited and passionate he got. So
yeah, for sure.
Any others?
Yes. So then I also read Beneath False Stars by S.D. Grimm, which
I love her.
Yeah, she's so sweet. I love her a lot. I was trying to pull it up on my phone, but it doesn't have the cover on it, so I can't. I thought I would show you guys, but I could go on my Instagram and do it, but it's fine. So I read that one.
Figure out how to share my screen.
Oh yeah.
What's the book called?
Beneath False Stars.
I think I can share my screen. Oh.
You probably pulled up.
I just want to see if I actually pulled the right SD grab up. Because I think there are two.
Are there? Oh no.
I was looking for a Goodreads link. There it is. It may not be on Goodreads yet, actually. Her Phoenix book is there.
Yeah, well, the book's not out yet. I read an e-arc.
Oh, there it is. Found it.
And actually, I got missed on the street team thing, so I got a PDF version, so that's why I don't have the cover.
Okay, because I can share my screen.
Ooh, okay.
So we're gonna share.
And then real quick, my last book, just so we don't forget, was Cesar Millan's Short Guide to a Happy Dog, because I needed a book for the animal space.
Aw, that's cute. So here's Beneath False Stars.
Yes.
Looks fun.
Yeah. It was a good one. I'm not a science fiction oh, there we go. Thanks. That was bothering me. I was like, we look funny. I'm not generally a sci-fi reader, so there was some. Wow. Rude. I'm done.
I didn't say I didn't always look funny too.
Yeah. So there's some techie stuff in there that I'm like, I don't understand the techie stuff, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the story itself was really good, and it's a trilogy, which means, of course, it left on a cliffhanger, and this book ain't even out yet. So,
yes. Like, arcs are awesome, except when you get to that point, you're like, no.
Right? I'm like, why are we on street teams? We always have to end on cliffhangers. That's so dumb.
I just signed up for the street team for book 2 of the Emmeline Delane.
Yes, me too.
I just filled out the form, and I was like, I feel like this is going to be a bad idea. It's just
why?
Just because it's going to end on a cliffhanger, and I'm going to be upset.
Wait, is it a trilogy?
I don't know. As I was filling it out, that was going through my brain. Is what if it's more than 2 books? I think it is a duology.
I thought it was a duology, but maybe it's a trilogy, and we're gonna have a cliffhanger again.
I feel like it's a duology, but I don't really trust my feelings. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Heather says, I joined a reading club at the library for adults just to go and read silently and talk about books in general, which was helpful and fun. That's really cool. I love that you found like an in-person community, because it's part of why we are doing this challenge, is because finding a community of readers can be like super helpful. And then Catherine says, I read that one forever ago. I think she was talking about Ruby Red, or how to win friends and influence people. And then Heather says the last book that she finished was the Hobbit graphic novel. I did not know there was a graphic novel, but that sounds
I'm not surprised.
Amazing. I'm not surprised. That sounds really cool. I love it. Okay. Role play, or Storm Siren. Drum roll. What was the favorite book of the month? Storm Siren. Yes. I read that one like a decade ago. Cassie picked it up, and I was like, there are some specific moments that I do, in fact, remember very clearly, and then I remember almost nothing.
Yeah.
Favorite of the month?
It's either Beneath False Stars or Iron Rose for fiction.
Oh.
And then I would say Unreasonable Hospitality for nonfiction.
Okay. What about of the year?
Oh, I don't like this.
I know, but if we don't ask this every month, we will get to the end of the year and be like,
I know.
Painful, but it's helpful.
I'm trying to remember what I said last month, but I think Betrayal of Eden is still up there. This is now in the running for favorite of the year.
Oh, okay. It was that good.
Oh yeah. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, friend.
I love Beauty and the Beast.
I love Beauty and the Beast, and she did this right.
You read Ember Gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. was like, if you haven't read Ember Gold, you need to read Ember Gold.
I read Ember Gold, yes. Yeah, I read that one. But yeah, this is some good stuff.
Maybe Iron Rose. I know Emmeline Dulaine was in the running.
Yes, Emmeline Dulaine, The Betrayal of Eden.
Yes, The Betrayal.
I felt like there was another one too that was in the running.
Andromache?
Yeah. Oh.
You're gonna have a hard time at the end of this year.
I'm reading too many good books. Why are there so many?
It's a great place to be in for. Like, again, that's kind of the whole point of the challenge. We want you guys to read good books and to have fun reading. It's just, we just want you to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one's definitely in the running with Betrayal of Eden, Andromache, and The Unraveling of Emmeline Dulaine. So.
Okay. All right. What was something that was challenging or difficult this month?
Ooh. Well, I feel like the last couple days of the month was a little challenging, I guess. I don't know. June, June started off really strong. Like, before I even reached the halfway point, I had read 11 books. So I thought this was going to be a strong, 20-book month. Yes. I have one every year, and I thought this was the month.
This was the one. To clarify, you still had a really strong month.
I did, yes. Yes. But I think, it tapered off, though, which was interesting. And I don't know why. So maybe there was a challenge somewhere in there, and I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Well, and I think that can be disappointing when you miss the goal that you're shooting for, right?
Yeah.
So.
And it's such an arbitrary number. It's just like the last 2 years we've done a challenge. There's been 1 month that I've at least done 20 books. And so I was like, there's got to be one this year, right?
I can do it. Yeah. I think that's really interesting that that's your challenge and difficulty for the month, because I feel like the tapering off, that was my whole month, right? There was no start strong. And it was also one of those things where I got to the end of the month and I was like, I can't really put my finger on why my reading slowed down this month, because I wasn't heavily editing anything, and I don't know, there was just something that I was like, I read, but I feel like I didn't read as much as I thought I would read, or I wanted to read, or I could have read. Some kind of hodgepodge of something in there.
Yeah. Okay,
surprising or delightful?
I think surprising was just how many books I read in the first half of the month, because I looked at it and I was like, and I didn't even realize, it just, I was reading, and next thing you know, I was like, wow, I read a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And none of them were super, besides Extension Squad, that's a little bit shorter than, the standard novel, because it's more of a graphic novel type situation. Besides that, they were all 10-hour audiobooks or more,
Yeah, good sized books.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Yay.
So, yeah.
I love it. Well, friend, I did not read 16 books last month. Pretty sure I read 6, maybe 7. Let me count. 1, 2, 7. And one of them was a picture book.
Hey, 7 is still a good number, friend. We are not comparing. Did we not just say that to our audience?
Yes. So several of mine were books that I had started in a different month and finished this month. So it wasn't that's how we track. What did you finish this month? But I finished 2, not 1, but 2 writing books this month, both of which I started at least a year ago, if not 5 years ago, in 2020. So I started in 2020, and the reason I didn't finish it was not through a fault of the books. It was because it has exercises, and I'm a perfectionist, and I paused reading so that I could do the exercises, and then I never did the exercises, and then I never went back to the book. So this month I was like, I'm finishing the freaking book. And I did. I didn't do the exercises, but I finished the book. There were a couple of exercises that I would like to do that were it was oh, that would be a good exercise. But plot perfect, I enjoyed that one. I really liked that it was very practical and had lots of examples that are very popular, well-known examples. So she made it like she was a good teacher, really easy to understand what she was getting across. And she did like different genre examples and whatnot for all things. And it was very exhaustive too, like from the idea through like the marketing. She did a really good job. So I do really like that one. Some of the examples that she uses has a little content, so take that for what you will. This one I'm so proud of. It didn't take me 6 months after you to finish it. For those of you who weren't here last year, we read Murtagh, and I legitimately took like 6 months longer than Cassie to read it for some unexplainable.
Same thing with the second book in the Lord of the Rings series too. Because we waited like a year and a half before we could start this one.
Yes, but it didn't take me longer to get through book 2. It took me longer to start book 2. I wasn't listening. So Murtagh, I was legitimately listening to it for like 6 months in bits and pieces. The Two Towers, I just never started. And then I had to like get through it in like 2 months or whatever. So I did finish The Return of the King, which was our buddy read technically, and I only finished it a couple weeks after Cassie this time.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of myself for that.
Wait, did I finish that book in May?
I think you did.
Oh, wow. Okay. That feels like forever ago.
It was like, I don't know, like a week after we finished it or something, maybe 2 weeks after. So it was pretty close, but it was the very tippy beginning of June, and I was like, oh, darn. I almost had it where we were in the same month, and we could both say we read this book.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, so the next one is a picture book. Wolf's Coming. I discovered this picture book when I was babysitting in college, and I will just say that it's adorable. I was a little terrified for a minute that this 2-year-old toddler had brought me this book, and I was like, why did she bring me this book? Like halfway into the reading of the book, not in the beginning, because in the beginning it looks like a harmless little picture book. And then you get halfway through the book and you're like, why am I reading this to a 2-year-old? And then you get to the end of the book and you're like, that was genius. So it's been in like my Amazon wish list for years. And finally I was like, I don't care if it's $18. I've been like waiting for it to go on sale. So I was like, I don't care. I want the book. I want it out of my Amazon cart and in my house. So I finally bought that one, and then I reread it, and I read it to Cassie because it's adorable. So, yeah. It's so cute.
She read it to me. It was very cute.
Yes, I did a polo and read it to her. And
due to copyright reasons, we cannot read it aloud. I'm sorry, but
go check it out. It might be in the library. I'd never heard of it until the little girl that I was babysitting. She was like, read me a book. And I was like, of course I'll read you a book. Pick out a book. And she brings me this book. And I'm like, okay. Start to read the book. Completely clueless. And again, I was sweating bullets halfway through. Her parents are never going to let me babysit her again. I'm going to traumatize this 2-year-old. What is this book? Why is it on their shelf? I didn't do it. It's not my fault. Anyways.
Yeah.
It was so creative. So well done. So well done. There's every now and then you get a book, you're like, oh, that was smart.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one was my second reading book. Now, this one has not been open on my nightstand for 5 years, but it has been there for about a year. Again, because I didn't want to stop and do the exercises. I was doing all of the exercises at the end of every chapter until I got to the one where she said, go write 3 scenes. And I was like, oh. And I paused with the writing of it was the writing the long form rather than like something
the short.
10 minutes, 50, whatever. But Gail Carson Levine, one of my favorite children's authors, she has written 2 books on writing, and this is the first. I've already read the second. They don't have to be read in order. I didn't read them in order, but
which is shocking for you.
I know. I know. It's because I owned the other one before I owned this one. It took me longer to find this one to buy. But she's so encouraging. If you need something that's just light and easy and encouraging and creative, she's super creative and just like wildly imaginative. Highly recommend. Okay, this one, I assume you finished it last month because Buddy read this, and Buddy read a book and Cassie finished before Coralie. Shocker. But the fun part is she read it physically and I read the audiobook because we thought that would slow each other down.
Oh, I was like, what book is this? I know now. Okay.
Again, Cassie she zooms through the audiobooks, and I tend to zoom through the physical books. So I made her read the physical book for this one, not just so that she would be a little bit slowed down. Didn't work at all. She should be a testament to the speed, the page turning. Okay.
I think I finished it in like a week.
Yeah, she binged this book, guys.
Trying to go look.
And I wanted to listen to the audiobook because
13 days. It was 2 weeks.
Girl never reads a physical book that fast. Ever. So should be a testament to the book. But Kiss of Deception, which y'all saw last month, she finished it last month. I took a little bit longer to finish the audiobook because I tend to do audiobooks slower. But there's a writing mechanism that she does in this book that I was like, how's that gonna translate to audio? So I forced Cassie to read the physical book because I didn't want her to listen to the audiobook and accidentally spoil a plot thread because I couldn't figure out how it would happen. But I was curious because I already knew what it was. I'm gonna listen to the audiobook to see.
And remind me, would it have spoiled it?
I don't think so. I don't think you would have. It's anything you would have paid attention to.
Okay.
But, and I will have to discuss that on Polo because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah. But I know we talked about it. I just can't remember. It's been a week, guys.
I have thoughts. But anyway, Kiss of Deception does have a little bit of content in it, but it's genuinely one of the most fantastic stories. I
enjoyed it. That's one of the series I need to finish. It's another trilogy-ish because it has 2 companion books.
2 and 3 with you. Okay, 2 more. Winter's Chill is book 2. I don't own book 2 because it's not out yet, but this is book 1, Winter's Maiden.
Oh, I have that book, the ebook.
Do you have the cover? Can you show the cover?
Yeah. It's up right now because I took a picture of it because I had to post it on my stories. Hold on.
Winter's Chill. I love the colors in the top of that. Anyway, I read and finished that this month. Y'all know I love Morgan Bussey. Love me some Morgan. That was one of the ones that I was like, I want book 3, and I'm upset that I have to wait. I don't know how, because we don't know when book 3 is coming out, because book 2 is not even out yet. So I'm a little upset that I have to wait for that one. It wasn't a massive cliffhanger. It's just that I want more. Okay, the last book that I read was The Wild Robot, which everybody's been clamoring about this one. It was turned into a movie. Haven't seen the movie yet. It was adorable. Absolutely adorable. I loved it. So those were my 6 books of the month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books of the month.
Okay. And what was your favorite?
Heather, you need to read The Wild Robot. I will sing its praises. It is not overrated, in my opinion. Favorite of the month. Okay. I can't count Lord of the Rings because that's unfair. You just can't. So Lord of the Rings is out of the running. You can't do that. Yeah. And then I had this whole discussion in my head. I was like, how am I going to pick a favorite? Because Lord of the Rings. So my favorite reread is Kiss of Deception because I love the world in that book. But my favorite new read is actually The Wild Robot. One was, it was, and this is my surprise of the month too, I think. So I picked it up because I work for a middle grade publisher, and my boss sent me out to talk to booksellers and see what they're seeing the kids are really excited about and really enjoying. And the booksellers said Wild Robot is flying off the shelves. And so I was like, okay, I need to read it. I need to figure it out. Well, I came home, talked to my boss. I was like, this is what they're saying, The Wild Robot and a couple others and whatever. And then a couple days later, he's like, I finished The Wild Robot. You need to read it. And I was like, oh, okay. I put it up my list. Because it was on my list, but I was also in the middle of, I don't know, The Kiss of Deception or something else. I was like, oh, okay. So I need to not just let that one sit on the TBR. And he's like, no, you need to read that one. So I started, I was like, okay, I put it on my bookshelf that night. And I was like, I'm just going to read chapter 1 before bed. And chapter 1 is literally that's it. It's so short. And then I was like, oh, well, I have time to read a couple more chapters. 50 pages later, I'm like, oh, I need to go to bed. This is a problem.
Whoops.
So anyway, it's super unique, and there are 80 chapters, but it's only 200 70 pages or something. It's the length of a normal book, but all of the chapters are teeny tiny little chapters, so you get more momentum as you read. But also, like, it's a very compelling story. The way that he's written it is a very compelling read. So I think I was just really delighted by that. That's the kind of middle grade book that, like, I would have loved as a kid. It's the kind of middle grade books I think we need more of. And yeah, I delight in middle grade anyway, but it's hard to find like modern middle grade that I enjoy the way that I enjoyed middle grade as a kid. And so I do recommend The Wild Robot. That was my favorite of the month. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to add it to my list.
Favorite nonfiction is probably the Gail Carson Levine Writing Magic, just because she makes me feel like a kid again too. When I even like talking about writing and the exercises that she had, it just feels like I'm in a world where anything is possible. So, but yeah, you should add The Wild Robot to your list. It was a super quick read. I think I read it in like 3 days, like literally 2 sittings and maybe a little bit of another one. It was super quick, but really adorable. I really want to watch the movie, so I recommend that one. That was my delight. And then again, the challenge for me was just, I don't even know. It was like a sluggish month, but for no reason.
That's fair.
No explanation for that.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
I also just thought of something.
Okay.
But this is turning it back to me, so I want to make sure that...
I think that's all I read this month. That was the favorites. And, the favorite of the year.
Yes.
Probably still Midnight Blizzard. Just because that one was... oh my gosh. I loved that book. It was so good. So, Emelinda Lane is also in the running, though. Emelinda Lane was really good.
That one was so good.
I'd have to look back at my list, but I think The Midnight Blizzard was the one that was an impulse read. It took me by surprise, and it just completely swept me off my feet.
And it came right after a string of not great ones, so...
That's also true. Like, okay, so if we're talking about challenge for the year, Cassie's over here like, I've read some fantastic books this year. And I'm like, I've read some crappy books this year. There have been a couple of books this year that was like, I was looking forward to this for like 3 years, and I picked it up, and it was not worth it.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but yeah.
That is unfortunate. So I realized something that is delightful, or was delightful, was that I have found a love for reading at night, which is physical books. Because, like, I love reading physical books, right? Like, it's not that. It's just, like, it was hard because I take a sleep supplement because I don't sleep. FYI. Like, I just don't. I don't sleep. So I take the supplement, and 30 minutes later, I'm out, but it's chocolate, so I can't brush my teeth before it, right? Like, it's not like a pill that you swallow, you know? No. So, like, I gotta do that and then brush my teeth. By the time I brush my teeth, put my PJs on, like, do all of that stuff and get into bed, I'm like, I got 10 minutes before I'm out. Yeah. And so
I wish I could fall asleep that quick.
I mean, that stuff helps, but I now have a new supplement. And I have a new process. What I needed to do was change my process, but I figured it out. And now I actually have time to read before bed. And I've read so many
before you do your supplement? Is that what you're doing?
So I have 2 rounds of supplements. One that is like magnesium and vitamin C, which the magnesium, kind of helps sleep too a little bit. It doesn't really help me fall asleep. But that one I'm supposed to take like an hour to an hour and a half before bed. So I take that at 9. Then I go put my PJs on, wash my face, whatever, get into bed, and I read. And then I get out of bed and go take the other supplement.
And do the chocolate. Yeah. So reading before bed is one of the most delightful things in my life. I love reading before bed, and I love hearing you say that that's something that you've discovered like a love for, because there's something so cozy and unplugged about it, and
I look forward to it. I'm like 9 o'clock here because I'm ready to turn everything off.
Let's go.
Like, even though I have a million things to do and I want to stay up and do them too, it's like no. 9 o'clock's here. Let's go. I get to go read.
Heather says, I think one of the ones I'm enjoying the most at the moment is Princess Companion. I loved that whole series. That's our Melanie Sellier for you folks who aren't on the up and up.
I have that checked out from the library, but haven't started it.
Hold on. Yeah, that's the first one in the original series. She has like 3 different spinoffs of that series. Catherine knows all about Melanie Sawyer and the Princess Companion. So yeah, love me some Princess Companion. I love the Princess and the Pea, the story of the Princess and the Pea, and the story of the Goose Girl. And so I love that she does some of the tales like that aren't necessarily the mainstream tales. Okay, but I also wanted to ask, Heather mentioned, and All the Tides of Fate. I want to ask about that one because that's actually the first book. All the Stars and Teeth. All the Stars and Teeth is the first one. So All the Tides and Fate is the second one. All the Stars and Teeth is one of like 5 books that have been sitting on my shelf that I've been super excited about. And I've read through like 2 or 3 of them and they've been crap. And so that one I've looked at and been like, are you going to be crap too? I don't want to pick you up if you're not going to be any good. So I need to know, Heather, if you're reading book 2 and really enjoying it. Tell me if I should read book 1 because I'm a little scared because I've been looking forward to it since I bought it like 2 years ago with I was actually with you, I think, Cassie, when I bought that. That might have been in the Texas bookstore that we bought. I don't know. Anyway, point is, I'm a little scared to read that one because I've been a little burned this year by the new authors and the general market and the books in that vein that were not as good. Okay, and then she also said that's the only time I read because I don't read as much as I used to. Keep going to bed late and then there's too much going on. Yes. Yeah, I feel that.
That's fair.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I almost forgot about this. I got an upgrade, guys. Would you believe it? No more janky Post-it notes on my book. On my book bingo cards.
Woo-woo!
I finally went to Amazon and bought some Post-it notes from like China or something, and a bunch of them in half, and I feel like so much more organized and uniform. Like I love, except they do kind of they don't stick super great. That's probably because I bought the ones from China instead of the ones from Walmart. But
that's fair.
Anyway, I just wanted you guys to see that I'm not entirely janky anymore. Looky here.
See, I keep forgetting to bring my bingo cards. They're sitting at the table right behind my computer.
Okay, I also discovered I still don't have a bingo. I had one bingo, but then I moved one because it's better in a different square. So Unreasonable Hospitality I had on my genre card, which gave me a bingo because that was my nonfiction on the genre card. Mm-hmm. And then I moved it to the food space on the nonfiction card because I was like, I'm not going to read another book about food unless I read like Stanley Tucci's biography, which is on my TBR. But like, I was like, I can read any nonfiction book and plug it into that bingo space, but the food book needs to go onto the food space. So I had a bingo and then I decided not to keep the bingo.
That's fair.
Yep. Okay, Heather says the magic or the description of the main character is a little dark and gory, but it was redeemed in the end. Okay. And then sometimes the MC is annoying, but she's also sympathetic. The world is really cool, and the plot has lots of... Okay. So maybe it's worth it. I got a little scared off because we read a book earlier this year that had a little bit of like demonic possession stuff in it, and we were like, whoa, we're out. Tap out. I don't want to mess with that.
You tapped out. I finished it.
Yeah, Cassie finished it. I felt super convicted and tapped out, and then Cassie finished it, and then she was like, it's a good thing you tapped out.
Yeah, I kind of had wished I tapped out earlier.
Yeah, I felt like it was literally like it came from 3 different places within the space of like 6 hours. I had like a personal conviction, and then my D group was like, "Are you sure? Like maybe you should think about that." Because I was like, "Oh, I think it's probably fine." And they're like, "Maybe that's the Holy Spirit checking you." And then literally Cassie after that, I was like, "Okay, so Cassie, my D group told me to double check with you." And she's like, "Don't do it."
Yeah. Well, for me, it was a little bit horror-esque, which it said on the book, and I was like,
it probably getting into a little bit of horror. Yeah.
But I don't do horror, and like horror for me is if I don't finish it, then my mind fills in everything that could possibly horrifically happen. Yeah. And so I was like, I gotta get to the end because I don't want nightmares. And then I had nightmares anyway, so it didn't really do anything.
Well, I bring that up to say that was a book that I was very excited about. It was a fairy tale retelling. I don't really do horror normally anyway, but I don't mind thriller, and it looked like something that I could get. Like it would be fine. It didn't look like, and it wasn't like super gory or graphic or anything. So we judged that part right. But some of the thematic stuff that was going on, I was like, something's not right here. I just don't feel good about this. Later went on to discover that the author like engages in some demonic practices, and so I was like, oh, okay.
Explains a lot.
That's fine. Anyway, again, all of that to say, all the stars and teeth on the back mentioned something about like soul magic, and I got a little wigged out, and because it was right after I'd finished that book. That Cassie and I were buddy reading, and I was like, I can't tap into that right now. So it's really good to hear that is still a story that you're really enjoying. Because I bought it obviously because it looked really good and it looked really interesting. And I bought this other one that was a fairy tale retelling, and I bought the other one I didn't particularly enjoy was an Ursula, basically from Ursula, the Sea Witch's perspective in The Little Mermaid. And that one wasn't terrible, it just wasn't great. It was like just not a super fantastic read, but it was kind of a meh read. So those three I bought together and was very excited about all three of them. And then there was one more that I read like 2 years ago that actually really was very good. But like 1 out of 4 being good, and the other, I've just been a little.
It's not great odds. Not great odds.
Okay, so she says it doesn't get that dark, but it kind of seems like it might. Almost DNF'd it, but then decided it was for a good reason. That's the other thing, is it? Yeah, this last one, it was like, this was not for like a good reason. It didn't make any sense. Anyway, Catherine says the last thing she read was Sunrise on the Reaping, and it was really good.
It was really good. That's a good one.
And then I have to decide where to put it. Okay, this is so funny that you bring this up, Catherine. Cassie and I have talked about where to put Sunrise on the Reaping extensively. I haven't read it, so we've just talked about it for Cassie. Because I also didn't.
Partially because it fell off. It was on there and it fell off.
Yes. So she said she doesn't know where to put on new release, author is the same initial, or prequel, which are all tricky squares to hit. We also looked at, so we didn't actually look at any of those three. We looked at Dystopian and we looked at Sunshine, right?
Like Sun on the cover.
Sun on the cover, which is on the summer card, I think.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And there was a third one that we looked at for it.
I think Sun in the title.
Maybe Sun in the title.
Something like that.
It totally could fit for prequel. Totally could fit for author, the same name for you. Or the same initial, not name. And then new release, I didn't even think about that, but that's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I don't know. For me, new release isn't that hard because I literally read like a bunch of new releases already this year. Because Illuminary is a new release. Emmeline Dulaine was a new release that I finished this year.
Mm-hmm.
Beneath False Stars is technically an arc, but that's a new release, right?
Yeah, it will be in the next month or two or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it comes out this month, or maybe next. So, like, for that, yeah, for me, those ones seem easy to fill.
You know what I put for new release?
What?
Helmer and the Dragon Tomb.
I mean, that works. That really works.
Yes. What else? You said prequel. I haven't filled my prequel square yet, but the one next to it, the companion novel, is where I put Falling Out of Time. So, does 3.5 count as a prequel? Is it actually a prequel? That's the question. So Sunrise on the Reaping is technically book 5 of the series, but it's a prequel.
Yeah.
So I think if whatever, I don't know what series you're referring to.
I think she's thinking, sometimes you know how it does like 3, 4, and they go back and put 3.5 in between.
I wonder if you're thinking, the only reason I'm thinking this is because Marissa Meyer's book, 3.5. Is that the one you're talking about, Fairest? In the Lunar Chronicles? That's a prequel. If you're talking about Fairest, that's a prequel. That was Lavana's story, or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. Did you ever read that one?
Mm-hmm. It's been a long time.
Well, I knew you read the quartet. I didn't know if you'd went back and read the prequel.
I'm pretty sure I did. I feel like I would need to read it again, though, because I don't remember.
I can't think of her name. Anyway, if that's the one you're talking about, I happen to know that is a prequel. So that would be our definition of a prequel, is does the book, if it takes place between 3 and 4, then it wouldn't be a prequel. No.
Yeah.
Darn.
Good try, though.
Yeah.
It's worth checking, because we've done that a few times where, like, does this work here? Does this make
not
sense?
realistic. It's just
Yeah.
the spirit of the challenge here.
Yeah.
But if you need help brainstorming prequels, I got you. Also, the Four Kingdoms series, I know that you love that because I love that, and I got you hooked on that. She has tons of bonus chapters and bonus short stories and stuff, which also would fit on that miscellaneous card. There's a square for that, so that might be a fun one to go pick up a prequel or something from her, or a bonus chapter, short story, or whatever. So I think that's all we have. We don't have any other announcements other than we'll see you at Realmakers if you're going to be there, and we will be doing our Zoom. Where do you find those? Her website, melaniesellier.com, I think is what it is. But she has a page that lists like all of them out, and I've read probably all of them, and they're really cute. Some of them are just a couple of pages, and so yeah, definitely go check out her website. Heather, have you read the other books in the series? I feel like you started with Dance of Silver and Shadow like I did, and then went back to the Four Kingdoms after doing the Return of Four Kingdoms. I still need to finish the whatever the third series is. It's Four Kingdoms, Return to the Four Kingdoms, and then Four Kingdoms, Beyond the Four Kingdoms, and Return to the Four Kingdoms. The Return to the Four Kingdoms is the one I haven't finished yet. Princess Companion is adorable. I loved that one. Mm-hmm. Actually, those first 4 books are really, really good. I think my favorite might have been the Sleeping Beauty one, which is, I think, book 4. Because I think 2 is Red Riding Hood, and 3 is Rumpelstiltskin. Both really good. The Princess Fugitive. Yes! It's fine. Okay, we're gonna not. This is what the Zoom call is for. So come to the Zoom call so we can chat all about Melanie Sellier. Cassie, you need to read Melanie Sellier.
No, I have 2 books checked out from the library. I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yes, Lily is the MC. So I read of Silver and Shadow. I've told you guys this story before. I found Dance of Silver and Shadow on my kid. I just graduated college. I'd saved up $200 after getting my first big girl job, and I was like, I'm gonna get one thing for myself, and it was my Kindle. And so I bought this $200 Kindle, and then I wasn't gonna buy Kindle Unlimited, the subscription, and then I saw the cover for Dance of Silver and Shadow, which, guys, it's in the other room. It's stunning. It's a stunning cover. It's also a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, which is one of my very favorite fairy tales. Read this book in like a day and was like, what? And this was before she'd come out with all of the rest of them. So she was working on coming out with the Beauty and the Beast one that is the sequel to that one. And so I went back and read the original 4. And yeah, they're delightful. She's a delightful author, and that is a delightful series. But the Princess Fugitive is I think the Red Riding Hood one. I'm not a huge Red Riding Hood fan. That one was good. It was good. So, yeah. If you like fairy tales, shoot me a message, guys. I got recommendations for days. Literally days. If you want recommendations on Cinderella stories, I have a free Cinderella retelling guide you can get on my website.
Yes, you can.
Cinderella retellings. And I haven't told anybody this except for Cassie. I'm going to update that soon. I have more to add to that. So there will be a version 2.0 coming soon. Just so you know.
Excited for that.
Want version 1 before it disappears. Get it now. It's not really going to disappear. I'm just going to add to it.
But it's now version 2 when you do that. So
right. I will tweak and update some things. So if you like Cinderella, go check that out. It's free. It's on my website. It's actually also linked to in our emails. So
yes.
Wait, of what? Of what? What is the of what? Clarify, Heather, and then we'll boot scoot. Good to see you too, Catherine. I hope you can make it to the Zoom.
Yes, it was so good to see you all.
I'm just waiting to see what Heather says. I want to make sure we answer her question. Part 2. Oh, I'm updating and revising the Cinderella retelling guide that I have that is current. So you can get the Cinderella retelling guide right now for free on my website. And there are 30 different Cinderella retellings. There's actually technically more than that because one of them is a book of short stories that is like Cinderella retellings from all over the world. And I think there's like 10 or 15 in there. But I'm doing a second edition of that soon because I have read more Cinderella retellings since then. So the part 2, it'll be the same. I'll just basically do a second edition of the guide, basically. So. Okay, happy Independence Day to our fellow Americans in the chat.
Yes.
And happy Canada Day to any Canadians in the chat. That was a couple days ago. And be safe with your fireworks, you pyromaniacs. And I say that in love because I am one of you.
Yes.
Go grill something out and check your emails. Hopefully we'll get that sent by next week. We'll have dates for the Zoom for you guys to vote on. And we'll see you in another month. Or at Monsters in a couple weeks.
Yes. See y'all around.
Bye.
Bye.